Health with Corinne Furnari, clinical nutritionist, physician assistant, and Carol Petersen, pharmacist. Listen, learn, and I hope you enjoy the show. Bye!
Welcome back. This is Take Charge of Your Health with Corinne Furnari, clinical nutritionist and physician assistant, and my co-host, Carol Petersen, pharmacist. Every week, we present you with new and creative ways to help you make sense of health information and bring it home to you and your family. With years of clinical experience between us and research into traditional and cutting-edge technologies, we give you practical information to help you take charge of your health. Welcome back. I'm here with my co-host.
She's there. Carol needs to unmute herself, but she's there.
I don't know if she hears us.
I don't know if she hears us either, but all right. You know what? I'll text her. You just continue on, Corinne.
Okay, so I'm here with my co-host. And we have a very interesting show today. As a matter of fact, it came about as a disagreement with myself and Carol, in that Carol was very excited that Kennedy was nominated and brought to the position of a health czar. And he created this program called Make America Healthy Again. And I had my doubts. I said, this guy, anybody that would leave a dead bear in the middle of Central Park and then say that he wants to be in charge of public health, I had my doubts. I didn't know if he would be able to deal with that.
He did a dead bear?
What?
Did you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
He
He left a dead bear in Central Park. And so Carol and I had this disagreement. But the end result was that there's some real important changes taking place. And that's something, so guess what? I admit I was mistaken. I was mistaken.
You've heard it here.
You heard it here. It's very hard to say. It's a little painful to come out of my mouth.
What can I say?
What can I say? And so what we have today is we're outlining some of the changes he's making that will end up changing the food supply and the foods we eat. This is such an important aspect. Here we are. We spend over $1 trillion in healthcare. If that would be the fourth largest, if it was a country, it'd be the fourth largest economy in the world, the fourth. And yet, we are 37th in health. What is happening here? We also know that 1 out of every $3 that's spent on healthcare is spent toward diabetes. And diabetes is stated as diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is stated as a preventable and a completely reversible disease. So What is happening here? Carol, you want to take it?
Well, yes, I'll start. I'm going to tell you where my mind went, and I didn't happen to send this to you, but you know where my mind went when you brought this up was Benjamin Feingold in the 1970s. Do you remember the Feingold diet?
No dyes.
Yes.
And he was
no food dyes, no colors,
no
preservatives.
No preservatives, and he was turning around epilepsy.
Yeah. Why Your Child Could Be Hyperactive. Book was published in 1985. And guess what? we still have those things. This is 1970, 1980. That's 45 years. 45
not still. It's gotten worse. It's become epidemic in our country. Our health has gone down as a nation, as children. The diseases of childhood, the autoimmune diseases that were once only
very
related
rare
to adults are now also children. And yet, so it's not only it's still here, it has gotten worse and worse and worse. And yet nobody has, we've been talking about it, but nobody has been doing anything about it. We know that certain dyes, the red dye was made 8 years ago illegal because it was being used in cosmetics, and it's carcinogenic. We know that. So we took it out of cosmetics. But we left it in food. It's in kids' food. So what is happening there?
There's a list. They put all these chemicals on this list. The FDA has a list. It's called the GRAS list. GRAS. Generally recognized as safe. And it was intended to have things on there like salt, cane sugar, that these things were well known to have been in use for long periods of time, practically all of the time of humanity, and everybody could feel pretty reassured they were safe. But now we've put all these other chemicals, and it doesn't take much for a pharmaceutical company to get this GRAS list blessing, and then they just put it in anything, and they really are not required to do any sort of rigorous testing. You know what? This is one of the problems with our FDA and how we've organized regulating our health system. The fox is in the hen house, unfortunately, because for one thing, people think that the government does testing for new drugs and new food additives in this case, but they don't. This is entirely on the shoulders of the manufacturer, and it doesn't require that the manufacturer be honest. They can present some good studies and keep back studies that don't look good. The way I was raised in my religion, this was called a sin of omission. What about you?
That was pretty common in our house. And but that's one thing that really impressed me this week in preparing for this talk, was understanding GRAS, G-R-A-S, generally regarded as safe, and how it is brought into our food supply or our nutrients, and the laxity that is there in allowing that to go forward. The government doesn't even monitor that. So if the company or the drug company or the food company wants to put something in their food and they do a GRAS study, they don't even have to submit it. They just have the study and put the nutrient or the dye or the toxin, in this case, was what we're trying to track down, or the toxin into the food. And then they have this study which hasn't been proven, hasn't been verified, hasn't been checked, and there it is. And it's there so that if anybody wanted to check up on it, you can call and they can refer you to this study, which is not peer-reviewed. So,
no. And Do you remember the sweetener aspartame?
Yes.
And I'm just bringing this up because the FDA, to their credit, would have a committee of experts, and on what basis experts were chosen, I can't speak about that, but they had one for aspartame. I remember this like it was yesterday. It's just amazing. So the committee voted against it.
Because it was carcinogenic.
Right, and the FDA approved it anyway.
Overrode
it. And this has occurred over and over and over again as well, that the FDA actually overrides its experts telling them, no, this is not a good idea. I see artificial sweeteners are on the list. I think we should give out our number and have some people phone us in.
The number to call,
I think we have some opinions here,
is 212-209-2877. That's 212-209-2877. And, the part that offends me, not the most, but offends me close to the most, is the fact that just right down to Kraft macaroni and cheese, they have a yellow dye, which is toxic in it. Has been directly related to attention deficit hyperactivity in children. And Kraft macaroni and cheese is one of children's favorite foods. So you go into Europe and you look at Kraft, and guess what? That dye has been outlined. And it's not in there. And the way they make it yellow is with carotene, with carrot, the dye from a carrot, and they make it yellow, the same. So the big argument is, well, it'd be just too expensive for them to convert everything and take all these poisons out of the foods that our children are taking all day, every day. And yet they're doing it in Europe. They have two different types. What about Fruit Loops with red, with blue, with yellow, with green dyes in them? And all of them have been shown to be toxic, and that's what we feed to our children. These people, I don't get, I'm pretty calm in relationship. Overall, I'm pretty calm. In relationship to this, I'm enraged. That's criminal what they're doing to our children. And it should be brought up like that. And guess what? It took crazy Joe Kennedy to bring it up and stand up to them.
I know, and he really is. I think you could have picked my jaw off the table when I read all the things that he was banning. This is audacious.
I know. It's wonderful.
It's wonderfully audacious. And why not? Now let's do another one. High-fructose corn syrup.
Oh, my goodness.
Do you know people go out of their way to buy Mexican Coke?
Because it doesn't have high-fructose corn syrup.
That's right.
It
has. Remember cane sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Pure cane sugar from Hawaii. That's what the ad used to say. Remember that? And sugar, even though they did a good job of stripping nutrients from it, it still is a natural substance as compared to the alteration that they've done to extract a chemical, really, from corn, and then they alter it to make it into a fructose similar to glucose molecule. And this has caused some problems. Actually, we did have a show on this. Do you remember we were talking about Perlmutter's book, Drop Acid? As it turns out, you can have some big problems along with metabolic disease, and the thought is that you can monitor uric acid in your serum. High uric acid means you have gout, pretty much, but it also means you have metabolic disease. And lo and behold, we're finding that high fructose corn syrup is pushing that trend to have higher uric acid levels, which is horrific. I think this is going to be turning around a lot of things. You know, I'm a big fan of Dr. Ray Peat. He actually left the U.S. and went down to live in Mexico. And he had a lot of thoughts on, and we should have a show on this too sometime, on the Dr. Peat way of eating. But he believes that we need some carbohydrates, we need sugar, and it's perfectly fine to use it. We can't be using these altered ones, though. And so he was all in favor of having a Mexican Coke now and then. No problem.
And the hot sunny days in Mexico, when you've got the red peppers in your finger and you're eating the hot soup that they serve at lunch, there's nothing better than a Coke.
I know.
It goes well. But,
I was just thinking about those little shorties we could get for a quarter from the corner bar where I grew up.
They were 6 ounces, or they were 6 ounces.
And they were ice cold, and it was pure heaven. Anyway, we are getting a little off track here.
I think so. So let me pull it back. The thing about high fructose corn syrup is that 90% of it is processed through the liver, and it's creating a liver overload that the liver cannot process to that degree. And yet we're seeing fatty liver disease. We're seeing it in adults, and we're also seeing it in children. They did studies in children. They did studies for young children who had just died from no disease, an accident, and they checked their liver. The young children up to 9 years old, they had beginnings of fatty liver disease. By the time they were 18, 98% of them had evidences of the beginning of fatty liver disease, which means that by the time they're 30, they're going to need a liver transplant. And all because they're being fed this toxin that is overloading our liver, and it really cannot handle it, and it's creating this what they call fatty liver disease of the liver, and it's a lower functioning liver. So it's not only the fructose, it's not only the fructose, it's also the fact that the liver can't detox all these other insults that are being put into them. So it's a very interesting thing. I want to read some of where the dyes are, and you're going to be surprised at how common they are. And let me see. Red dye number 3, it's candies, baked goods, and they're linked to cancer in animal studies. Red dye number 4, sodas, cereals, candy, linked to hyperactivity and DNA damage. My goodness. Then we have yellow number 5, chips, drinks, desserts linked to behavioral issues and allergies. And what do we see? Children are so allergic and so reactive. And blue number 1, candy, drinks, cereals, behavioral issues. Blue number 2, behavioral issues. Blue number 3, it goes on. Cancer in animal studies. And I'll do 2 more. Orange peels, because they're dipped in red dye to look redder and make it more attractive to purchase. Cancer in animal studies. and orange bee sausage casings no longer manufactured. They are now they are a cancer risk. So what is happening is all of these they're going to, the dyes by the end of 2025, they're going to attempt to get them all out. Those that are more difficult will be 2026, but they're being taken out of all foods that are served to children in schools. They're being taken out of out of cereals. It's really exciting. We're going to see a different child in a few months, in a few years. We're going to see children that are more able to focus. We're going to see children with reduced allergies and allergy reactions. It's just very exciting, because here I'm working and you're working in nutrition, and we're fighting the food supply that's toxifying the people that we're working with every day. It's very frustrating.
That's very good. Actually, I really have to dig in when I have a client. I don't know how many people have told me, they're very careful with their diet. They have a very good diet. I say, what does that mean?
Exactly. Help me out.
What are you eating exactly? And that can be there's things that are silent killers, as we're finding out. I'd like to give the call-in number, 212-209-2877, 212-209-2877.
I had a patient, and she was institutionalized for such a severe depressive personality disorder. Her parents were worried about her. They institutionalized her. They felt that she was going to kill herself, and there were so many other problems. So she was there, and when she became 17, so she was institutionalized at 16. When she became 17, she asked them to let her out, and they said no. And she said, I've got to get myself out of here. I got to get myself out of here. So she went on a fast, and for 1 week, 7 days, and then limited her food. Ate no wheat, ate nothing that looked like it had chemicals. And her personality changed, and she became mentally healthy again and was released. And so that is the extreme of the sensitivity that we're experiencing. But to a degree, many of us are experiencing it on lower levels. Mood changes, just the way we relate to the world and to people.
I had the opportunity to visit the home of two people who ran a company called Manitowoc Ovens. This was in Wisconsin, northern Wisconsin. And they decided that children weren't getting enough nutrition in their school lunches. So one of the things that they were doing with their bakery products, they would add a number of nutrients, making sure their products were nutrient-rich. And they called it things like brainy bagels, stuff like that. They had catchy little names. Yeah. Well, guess what? The FDA soon put a stop to that.
Oh, no.
But this couple also did something magnificent, and I was able to see the documentary. So the city of Appleton, Wisconsin, it's over near Green Bay, small city. They had a magnet school. That's where they put all the kids who don't behave. They get to go there, and they got to take over the food. They could offer breakfast, and they could offer lunch, and they also were able to get the vending machines out of the building. This is quite a scandal too. A lot of schools have vending machines full of things with all these colors of candies
and they make money.
Cheetos and whatever. So the school gets paid, gets some money to have these in the schools, and the kids are eating it. It's handy for them for a snack, and so it's really been a big problem with having this junk available to kids to eat. Well, anyway, the school got rid of those machines. And they also, like I said, they offered a breakfast and a lunch. And the biggest change they made was the kids had access to real food, freshly cooked food, raw foods, real food. Even in Wisconsin, they believed the milk was too processed, and we do have our milk too processed with pasteurization and homogenation. So they put that at the end, hoping kids would make better choices before. So that's kind of funny. But it was just like a couple months, and the whole school changed. The teachers said, before we change the food, before this happened, she said, I couldn't teach anybody anything. I couldn't even make eye contact. The kids were just off somewhere else. Absolutely no connection. And they had hired police people and guards because there was a lot of violence in the school. They let all of them go. Absolutely no violence. It was such a touching documentary, and it was a change that could be made pretty easily within a school system. They did that one school, why not more? And the consequences were that the parents were hearing how well these kids did in the magnet school. They were clamoring to send their regular kids, not the misbehaving kids, over to that school. What a big change, and it's something beautiful. And I just love that Bobby Kennedy's got this focus on let's feed ourselves right
he's
from the get-go.
He's focusing on adults, but there's a heavy emphasis on the children. Now he's talking about non-pasteurized milk, which is going to be, I think it's going to have a big effect and going to be a big fight, whereas the other things are not as controversial.
Do you know how many degrees they heat milk to for pasteurization? I just saw that. 500 degrees. And it denatures proteins.
It denatures proteins. It just coagulates them so they cling to each other. So your body can't digest them. So
actually, there have been studies in Finland. They believe that these proteins that have been disfigured by this high heat is connected very much to juvenile diabetes. But that's another story. We as human beings use milk very safely for a long time in our human history. Anyway, it gets back to Pasteur's germ theory of disease, which he's now been discredited. We've finally got a hold of his papers, and he fudged a bit. And then Beauchamp, who was a contemporary, who said that it's all about our terrain. It's not that we have all these foreign things coming in and doing us harm. It's our own terrain that we have resistance to our environment that we have to take care of. And history's going to prove him right. We have a caller?
We have a caller, we do. Hi. You live, your name, please?
This is
Hello.
Ellen. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very, very slightly.
Oh, God, I'll speak loud.
No, it's better. Thank you.
So my cousin worked in the school system for a long time, and she had some knowledge of nutrition, and twice or thrice she told some parents the kids were acting very over rambunctious, what other people would call hyper, whatever the street term now, right? They had a street term, hyper. Anyway, she explained to them she thought they were consuming, because she saw them in the school, drinking too much chocolate milk. So she explained to the parents that the chocolate milk has something called, this is how she explained, the theobromine, which is like a cousin of caffeine. It acts like caffeine. And sure enough, when these parents limited or just took it out, the kids got calmer. And then she moved to yet another school, I think in Harlem, years later, and noticed that they had eliminated completely the chocolate milk option because they had realized that the kids, that was contributing to their, hyperactivity. That's all I want to say.
It's really wonderful because just through her observation, she didn't have a double-blind study. She had observation. And we never trust our own observation, but through her observation, she was able to make such a big change in those children's life. I'm very proud of her. If you see her, tell her I'm proud of her and the work that she did and the changes that she made for those children.
That's really wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, I was just reminded, Corinne, how about you remember Doris Rapp, right?
Oh, Doris Rapp, very much so.
Her book, Is This Your Child?
And
she was somebody who was really working on identifying what children were reacting to. And I remember watching a video of hers.
Me too.
She would have the children, draw some people or something or write their name, and they're doing perfectly fine. And then she would challenge them. She'd
give them a snack or something.
Yeah, and then the kid just starts in seconds almost starts jumping off the walls practically.
He started ripping up the couch.
And that's one of the stories.
Ripping up the couch, and then she gave him an antidote to what she had given him, which was just a common food. It wasn't something that many of us would eat every day. And the child, it was like he'd chews on it. She got him, she could almost had to hold him to be able to get him to eat this. And boom, the child calmed down and he was talking and he was calm and it was amazing. And she wrote this book, Is This Your Child? But she also wrote, Is This Your Child's Classroom? And she identified all the toxins in the individual classrooms that are getting kids to react. But Carol, you weren't here. Dr. Chuck Simone contacted me and he said, I need to be on the radio. I need you to speak on the radio. And he started and he said, potassium bromate in all of our soda pops are being converted by the vitamin C, which is, you have to have vitamin C in all drinks to act as an antioxidant. And it's converting to bromate, which is causing leukemia. So,
oh my goodness.
I know. So he called me and I'm going, oh my goodness, we're going to say this on the radio. Nobody's proven it. I look it up. I can't find it anywhere. But the guy is brilliant and he did the research. So we did that and then I replayed it again. And 4 months later, it was in the New York Science Times. And the thing that gave me confidence is that it had been outlawed in England. So in England it was outlawed, but we introduced that to the public through WBAI. I was very proud of that. And
you should be. My goodness.
And even now it's still there. It's outlawed in England, and it's still there. But Joe Kennedy is on the list to eliminate.
It's on the list. I think sodium bromate too. Now, this goes back to David Brownstein's point. We started putting that sodium bromate in all of our baked goods, in our wheat. If 100%, there's this bromate, but it's bromine. It's from the element bromine, and it interferes with our iodine. So if you read David Brownstein's book on iodine, he like waves the flag for this thing. It was I forget the decade that they were using iodine actually, and they put in these bromates instead.
It was a surfactant to help so that you could use the wheat and it didn't cling together and clump all up. And they switched from iodine, which they still use in Europe, to the bromate, which they use here. Go on, Carol.
So this knocks out your iodine. Well, what do we need iodine for? So iodine is a precursor for your thyroid hormone. When we sometimes say T4, thyroid, T3, those numbers are 4 iodine molecules and 3 iodine molecules. Active thyroid, T3, is responsible for your whole metabolic rate. So just think about it. It's no wonder we have no energy if we're using any of these wheat products that have been brominated, I guess is a good word. We can't manage it. Iodine is just an excellent anti-parasitic, antifungal kind of thing if you're eating it regularly. For estrogen metabolism, in order to go from your more stimulant estrogens to the estrogen that is less stimulant, and it's your excretory estrogen, estriol, you need iodine for that step. So we have way too many women suffering from their estrogen simply being too strong. You accumulate, you can't get rid of it because we don't have enough iodine.
Enough iodine.
Yeah, and we have special needs for iodine in our breast tissue and in our ovaries, in our uterus, and men's prostate glands. So I just wonder if we're not going to see a tsunami of healthy pretty soon when they take these things out.
Won't that be fun? Well, do you know, I have many patients and myself. When I go to Europe, I can eat everything. Mm-hmm. I can eat pasta. I can eat bread. I don't blow up. I don't get all swollen. I feel great. And I don't gain weight. Whereas here, when I eat bread, I fall asleep. It's too much for me. It's like I ate a ton of something, and I hear my patients say, "Why do I go to Europe and I don't have these reactions to food, and I come here and I have reactions to food? What is happening that's making this?" And we've got it right here. And it's being dealt with beautifully, she says, with her fingers crossed, by this amendment or law or pulling all this junk out of our food. I'm going to see if we can open it up to the audience. The number is 212-209-2877. 212-209-2877. We'd love to hear from you. We know that you have many stories and children who you have observed having problems with foods, and we'd love to hear them. Now, dyes aren't the only thing that he has attacked or tried to turn around. He's pre-cooked shrimp. He's saying that it has a tripolyphosphate and sulfates in it, which can be carcinogenic intestinally, particularly intestinally, and then a titanium dioxide. Sounds delicious, doesn't it? They're finding that they're finding that in ice cream. Not finding, it's generally put in the ice creams that we have. Doritos. Oh, gee, thanks. Doritos, Cheetos, Pop-Tarts, and a flavored oatmeal contain dyes and heavy-duty preservatives that can be quite toxic. Now, we have a couple of callers, so we're going to go to the audience. Hi, you're live. Your name, please?
Hey, how y'all doing? Good to talk to y'all again. Another amazing show. Really great and it's informative, not misinformative.
Thank
this
you.
Is Dave Harlem. You're welcome. I just wanted to follow up from last week when y'all were discussing the magnesium. One of my questions I had asked was, could you repeat the name of the book and the author slowly so I can get that down? So I want to put that out there. The second thing is, I find myself in these little not healthy debates, but then now it's just like kind of like okay, we'll just see. But excuse me, you're like with your account. See, y'all did it great. Somebody did their homework and they said, okay, let's just do it the facts. So John Kennedy Jr. is actually a good look. However, I'm adding that we're still going to have to do something. I don't know, hit social media. I'm not on social media, but I'll just say whatever people can to give him support. That means letters, emails, and whatever else. But there's a lot to push back against, and he's going up against, serious industries. So you're taking this out of these industries. They didn't do this because they don't like people. They did it for profit, and it's profit over people. So he's going up against them, and they'll be putting money towards different candidates. They'll hedge their bet. They'll put Republican and Democrats.
So
the Republicans, it's all about money and corporatocracy. I'm just going to end with that. So I'm saying he needs that support, and we need to push the president on that as well, because at the end of the day, Trump's doing something that the Democrats would have never done. So I'm just simply saying I'm for whoever for me, and I'm a push back on everything else that's anti-us. That's the bottom line.
Oh, I love that. Anti-us. That's beautifully said. I'll just say, it was Jeff Bowles' book we were talking about. His last name is Bowles. Now, he's got quite a lengthy title, but I'll just give you the short one for time's sake. It's the ALS Breakthrough.
Gotcha. So I'll follow with that, with the author's name and then typing that in.
Yeah.
ALS.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
co-authors are Grok 3 and Perplexity.
Yeah, and to pronounce that is quite perplexity. So it's
right. Okay.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. And that is a very important point. There's going to be a lot of pushback. People are not going to want to change their formulas, even though it's not that expensive to turn them around and to take these out and to create the switch. They're doing it in Europe right now.
Yes, they manufacture a different country, and they can do it, but not in the U.S. This is horrific.
And so that's why we're bringing it to the public. We want him to get the support he needs. We want all the people to be aware and to support in any way that they can. He also talks about the 8 seed oils that are so toxic and how you really have to turn those around and how important it is. But we'll go to the next listener. Hello, you're live.
Hi.
Hi. Your name, please?
James.
Hi, James.
I heard that story before many times about people that go to Europe. They can eat anything. They don't. Same people would say that they would stay away from all these different ingredients. They would always read labels like I do, and they wouldn't
bring any food into the home that had ingredients that they didn't like. So it seems to me that you're saying that some of these ingredients are not listed on the ingredient label, like, for example, bromines.
That's maybe that's a good point. It's possible that it would be listed under the wheat that you're using to make something.
Do they have?
Is it on the final label? I don't know.
I know that I know that in organic grains they say non-bromated, but I really didn't see, and I'm not aware whether they say bromate as a surfactant. I'm not aware of that at all.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense when somebody would say that they eat wheat here and they have reactions, even though it's organic and they read all the ingredients. There's no bromides in it, for example. Well, and you go to Europe, they eat wheat and there's no reaction. What
about the glyphosate?
Yeah, they don't put glyphosate on the label.
In Europe, they're not spraying their wheat with glyphosate right at the end, right after they have harvested it, and it's laying on the ground. They spray it with the glyphosate, so it's a very high concentration, and it creates all the wheat to ripen at the same time.
Hello?
Did you hear me? Hello?
That wouldn't be, but they wouldn't do that if it was organic, though, right?
Supposedly not, but the trouble with glyphosate and organic farming, and there have been lawsuits over this, and the farmers have lost, that glyphosate drifts into their fields, and then they're sued by Monsanto for using the glyphosate.
There was a big lawsuit like that in Canada.
Yeah, there's a big one. Perry Schmelzer, happened to him. I wonder how that ended up. I don't know. I remember him being speaking all over about it. Wow. Yeah, but you have a good point. I think there's another issue with the wheat, and there's different strains of wheat. You go to different countries, they have a different how many different strands of proteins or something. William Davis has it in his book called Wheat Belly, that our wheat used to have, what was it, something under 20, I don't know if
14.
it's DNA based. 14.
It was 14, and now it has 28.
Right, and then
and
you
14 of those are totally non-digestible.
So there's huge differences in they want to call it selective breeding, but is that a GMO process? I'm a little bit unclear with that.
At the time, it was selective breeding. It wasn't GMO. It was developed when Nixon wanted to increase the amount of protein in wheat because he felt that there was going to be food shortages in the world. And he was attempting. So it wasn't that it was, this was done with a positive intent, but the end result is what they created was a wheat that was not digestible and creates all this intestinal inflammation. So thank you so much.
Great point.
Good questions. Yep. Every week, good questions. So thank you for calling in and keeping us on our toes. Thank you. And there's another listener. You're live.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for your program.
Hi. Oh, thank you for calling in.
As always, we want answers. We want to find ways that we can help ourselves from knowledgeable people such as yourself. There was a caller or two prior to me saying he was congratulating the political environment because they brought this medical person, Kennedy, to eliminate a lot of the drugs that are really harming our bodies and our children. But keep in mind that same political group is trying to defund publicly funded media, which will means a program such as yourself, and our network WBAI and Pacifica could be eliminated, as well as Channel 15. So be careful about congratulations.
The thing about WBAI that's unique, that's different than...
I just want to interject one more thing, because I know the time is really short. I want that the listeners please support your program. It's very important. It really is a life-saving program. I would love to see you in a different slot, so that it could be aired at a time when more people have a tendency to listen. And if you like the program, share it with people by using the archived links, and so that we can get more WBAI buddies to support, the kind of media that we have here. And again, thank you so much for all that you do in bringing answers and power to us.
I didn't get your name.
My name is Denise. Thank you so much.
Denise,
Denise.
Thank you, Denise. Does I don't think that WBAI has federal funding, do they?
No. So that's the lucky part. The lucky part is that we have you.
Yeah.
We have you. We have people like you who appreciate what is coming to them and understand that this is a contract. And it's a contract between the producers and the listeners. And the contract is that we prepare and work and bring our knowledge to the floor, and the listeners support and tell us what they want. This is an important piece of it. Tell us what they want so we can supply and share with them in any way we can. Like, we had to do some research on this talk today, which was fine. It's wonderful. And it's a pleasure to be able to do this. But this is a new issue, so we had to learn about it before we could bring it forward to you. But, Carol, what is your website?
My website is thewellnessbydesignproject.com, and I just want to mention I put somebody on working on our archives at WBAI. We've been remiss in putting a description on our shows. We're getting that fixed, so if you want to find an old show, it'll be easier. So please take the time to take a look at the archives and bring up an old show or listen to today's show again. Anytime. We love that WBAI is archiving all of this.
And my website is Corinne, CORINNE, health, and .com. And both mine and Carol's website have weeks and weeks and weeks of articles that we've written up. Many of them are on the radio show. Many of them are on different subjects. So if you go to our website, plan to spend some time and go over it. And it's there for you, just like WBAI is there for you. So we love your support. We love your calls. And thank you so much. And thank you, Reggie, for always being there and helping us. So we'll be back next week. Go to the websites, and we'll be back next week.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.